Hi, this is a video response to TipToeChick's Show and Tell of most precious magical items. I wanted to start off by sharing this pendulum. I got this back in 2006 and I went to a tarot conference and there was someone with a stall there doing pendulums. And I really wanted a pendulum to start using it again. So then I tried almost every pendulum on that stall because I was hoping that, you know, one of the pretty amethyst ones like TipToeChick had, or something that was kind of with a nice, I don't know, silver clasp or something like that would come and say, yes, I want to go home with you. But they all just kept saying no to me every time I asked. And I had almost given up, but the stall holder kind of got out this little dusty pendulum, which, as you can see, is kind of grey and very simple. And she said, give this one a try. And it just said yes to me straight away. And so we've been best buddies ever since, because, you know, I really wanted a pendulum that would be pretty and nice. And, for example, I have bought another pendulum since, which, you know, is much prettier, but this one I used it for a spell helping me with questions of weight and eating without being mindful. And because it's yellow, so it matches the Svadhisthana chakra, it was that was the right one for that. But as a pendulum, it's just never spoken to me quite as much. So that's my first magical item. Staying on the kind of crystal side, I have to mention these palm stones again, just because they really are so powerful for me. I use them every single day. Every time I sit at my altar, they come to me at some point. I'm a double Gemini, so I really need a lot of grounding, and these offer me that and keep me here. Now, TipToeChick said about, you know, she wasn't going to talk about tarot cards or anything like that, but I think in terms of magical items, I really have to mention them because I have 3 decks that are on my altar and that I really do use absolutely all the time. The first one is the Gaian Tarot. This is the Llewellyn box, but I have actually got the special edition, so I've had it for a few years now. And you can find more information about that at this web address. And this is a really beautiful deck. The second tarot deck that I use absolutely all the time, that's on my altar as well, is the Tarot of the She by Emily Carding, who's a fellow Brit. And I find the artwork, when I first saw it, it didn't really speak to me that much, but then I met Emily and I really liked her other decks, or at least at the time I had the Transparent Tarot, and now I also have the Transparent Oracle that you can see there. And you can find Emily Carding, she has a website, but also if you want to find her, have a look on Facebook because she posts there very regularly and she's just fabulous. And I think that's actually one of the things that kind of drew me with both of these decks, is that both the women who created them are actually priestesses themselves, and these cards are just so powerful for me. I mean, for example, here's one of the cards from the Tarot of the She, and, you know, it's not a nice, gentle, fluffy card. This is the equivalent of the 5 of Swords, but it's really powerful. And I use these cards in my spells. I'm a very visual person, so, for example, after I had a miscarriage a few years back, I used some 3 of Swords images to express the absolute heartache that I was going through. And so what I did was I had one of these cards on my altar to represent where I was. And then I used one of the cards from the Guy and Tarot. This is also the Three of Swords, but a very different take on it, about how to help myself move forward. And then I used a third card to represent where I wanted to get to, and kind of the more spiritual help that I might need with that. So as you can see, I kind of use these cards actually as part of my spell. I create spells using the tarot cards, and I found that very helpful. Likewise, you know, for example, there's quite a lot of strong, powerful, perhaps quite difficult cards in the Tarot of the She. You know, these cards don't pull their punches. This is the Eight of Swords, and it's called the Web of Mirrors, and she's just so trapped in all these reflections and just seeing parts of the whole and not the whole picture. So I felt that it was necessary to take a time out, gain a different perspective, and hopefully get to more of a place of inner listening and listening to nature and listening to myself and listening to the whole, rather than being trapped in the darkness. So I really use the cards a lot in this kind of spell way. And, you know, just so you don't think that all of Emily's cards are dark or difficult, here we have Warrior 7, the Seven of Wands, which is called a Hero's Challenge and is such a beautiful, strong, fiery card. I mean, look at that. This woman is so strong as she faces her enemies, be they internal or external. Or I also love, you know, this warrior princess with her gift of courage, that she's really saying, you know, I have focus and I can take on the world. Or in a more kind of dreamy and playful way, we have the Dancer Princess as a gift of expression. Or if I want a representation of the god, I might take something like the Maker Prince, who's, you know, a very Green Man type figure, but a very gentle and wise one, all about communing with nature, which, especially for an urban witch, I'm surrounding myself with very nature-based decks. And as I say, I think the fact that, you know, both Joanna Powell Colbert and Emily Carding are priestesses really influences the energy of these decks that they have created, which are so gentle and loving and powerful at the same time, that they really speak to me. And I also have a favourite goddess deck, and I use this as well in my spell working and on my altar. For example, sometimes I will have different goddesses to represent the elements. Oya for air, and Pele, for example, for fire, and Sulis as a very healing water side, and Demeter or Demeter for the earth. And so those could actually sit on my altar to represent the elements. So as I say, I'm a very visual person, and so this really works for me, and I really use these cards on my altar, in my spell working, and also, of course, for divination, both for myself and for others. So these are really my most precious things, and with the Guy and Tarot, as I say, this copy is actually the special edition, which, you know, is the most expensive deck I've ever bought. So it's precious in many ways, but I really do use it, do love it. So that's my show and tell of my most precious magical items. Blessed be.